When did you first realize the importance of executive presence in your career? Because I know you always look immaculate and you always dress well. Um, and in sales, it's really important, right?
It's absolutely critical because, especially for salespeople, you're the first experience of whatever brand you're representing, and so whatever the customer experiences in that moment says so much about whether or not that person, someone, and that company by
Mm.
extension, is something or someone that they can trust. And so it's really important that we remember that. The first time I realized that appearance really mattered was way back in my career when I thought that I looked all right. And I remember I just had this, I don't know whether I'd call it a penchant or whether it was just a comfort level of wearing a certain type of shoe, but it was a shoe without toe in it. I can't believe I'm saying that. And everything else was very corporate, but I just loved wearing shoes. God. And I remember my manager, sort of pulled me aside and said, you really need to look at getting, some covered in shoes here. It's sending the wrong message. I was a bit outraged by that, Julie. I thought, how dare that person say, question my style and my fashion sense. And she sent me over to a woman who was just another trainer that I worked with, who was this Italian woman who I absolutely adored. I kind of idolized her, and she was in her early 50s back then, I would say. She wore the most magnificent colored lipstick that I have ever seen. And she just had it going on, as Italian women tend to do.
Yes.
And yeah, and she just had everything so well put together. And I remember thinking from that moment on, that's that's the style that I really want to emulate. And she had this beautiful way about her of kind of, maintaining my sense of self-esteem while also sort of introducing me to what corporate dressing actually meant. And from that moment on, I really understood the power of it, not just from the external, but also how it made me feel.
Mm. And how did it make you feel?
Well, it made me feel ready.
Mm.
It meant that when I felt like, from the outside,
Mm.
my externals were well put together, it meant that I could forget about myself. Well, that's what it does for me. It makes me forget about myself, and I'm not so concerned about how I look. And then I can be 100% present for the other, which to me is, the foundation for every philosophy about,
Mm.
customer engagement and selling that I have. And so for me, it was just one of those things that gave me confidence. It was an inside out job, even though it was outside in. They kind of fed off each other. And on those days where I really, feel good about the outfits that I'm putting on, and the message that I'm like, it's all conscious. So the message that I'm trying to convey with the person that I'm meeting with, it just enables me to show up in a better way.
Mm. It's interesting, isn't it? I know I've seen women transition from looking, dare I say it, mediocre to putting them in something which gives them strength. And we all know the term, dress in your power suit. But for a lot of women, it's important. It's like a suit of armor going into battle. When you're going into a boardroom full of men, and they're all going to be, you know, judging you pretty much
Yeah.
when you walk in. If you've got that, you know, feeling of, well, I know I don't have to worry about how I look.
Yep.
I've got everything's working for me in the right way,
Yep.
and I can go in and I can just deliver my content, then it does make a big difference. They do.
Absolutely.
They have a lot more confidence and
Mm.
they're able to get through what they have to get through.